This is Dudes Who Bet Sports. Dudes Who Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dudes Who Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dudes Who Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Halterman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of shit.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RacingDudes.com and welcome back to the Dudes Who Bet Sports Show. We are live, Papa Dude. We're back. Couldn't do the show last week, the late show. We did the early show, but we're back. We're back on our normal schedule. How are we doing today?
Great. How are you doing?
I can't complain. I can't complain one bit. I'm a year older, but that's all right.
Yes. Don't look it, though.
I don't know. I feel it.
You said you were out of breath. What were you doing?
Well, I went to get a light to put on the desk because it's very dark in here for some reason. I went to get a light. It was downstairs. Had to run upstairs. So
okay. Yeah,
I'm tired before we ever start. I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, this is easy. You know that.
I know. Easy show today for sure. Bad news is I just deleted the page I was going to pull up, so I'll pull it out for you now. A lot going on. A lot of football took place last week that we're going to go over. We're going to discuss tonight. We'll start with college. I think that's where we saw the most just like shocked, really, like craziness of what happened. So we'll start with that and we'll work our way down. How about that?
That's good.
All right, let's do it. College football. We'll go through the top 25. It kicked off on Thursday last week. Tulane with a big win, 59-24. They're back in the hunt for the conference championship game. Big win for Tulane.
You better believe it. A great bounce back after not a very good performance against Central Florida. And to bounce back like this and then Central Florida losing, I would say it's probably, well, they've got to play Cincinnati this week. So that'll decide who's in the championship game.
Yeah, since Central Florida is a weird one. They've lost to East Carolina and to Navy. We'll talk about that one in a second. But they beat Cincinnati and Tulane, so they actually are going to have the tiebreakers for that conference championship. They're still probably going to be in it.
Yeah,
and then the winner of Cincinnati Tulane will probably face them. So
yeah, I think that's the scenario.
Yep.
By the way, can you believe this is already the last week of the season?
No.
Regular season. I can't either. This has gone by so fast. And now, in a way, if you're an Oklahoma fan, you're glad this is almost over because it's been a nightmare of a year. But I was just thinking today, my gosh, this thing's already over with.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Nuts.
It's crazy. The season is just flying by and it's flown by, I guess you could say now. But yeah, it is pretty crazy. All right, let's move on. Georgia and Kentucky. The theme of this weekend was these top teams getting major scares. I don't know if this was a scare. I mean, they were in control, but this was close, 16-6. You think they're looking ahead to that SEC championship game?
Well, I think so. And I'd call it a scare. Now, if that was you and I, and we're watching our team in a 2-score game, I think we would have been scared. I think we would have, or upset.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody thought this was going to happen, but the pressure starts getting on these teams too. And this was on the road. Of course, we didn't get to see any of it. I'm assuming Kentucky had a game plan to shut down the Georgia offense, which they did. But when you got a defense like Georgia, you can hang on and win. So, they've had a couple of these little slip-ups on the road. Missouri had them beat up in Columbia, and Kentucky played them to the wire. So wouldn't be too worried about Georgia. I'm sure that was one of those games they kind of were dreading a little bit going up there, and they didn't play up to their potential, but they got to win, and that's all that's important.
Yeah, and like I said, that's the theme of the weekend: get a win and get home. Or some cases, just they were at home and still almost lost. Let's keep going. Ohio State and Michigan, they play this week, but last week 2 scares for sure, especially Michigan. Let's start with Ohio State, 43-30. It's kind of a shootout. That's not really what they want to see. They want to hope that their defense is better. They're going to get that test this week. But what did you think of this one? It really came down to the wire.
Yeah, that one surprised me. Not as much as the next one we're going to talk about, simply because that was on the road. And again, you go on the road and play a game when you're right before the one you've been waiting for all year. Sometimes you let up a little, or you're not quite. I don't want to say they choked, but the pressure gets you, especially when Maryland can make a run at you and put some heat on you like they did. But let's look at that third quarter where Ohio State outscored them 17-0 in the third quarter. You were following on your phone. When did they finally put them away?
Well, it was the last possession because Maryland came back strong, and then Ohio State pulled away the last 4 or 5 minutes of that game. They definitely got some separation in the third quarter, but Maryland came right back and made that a game.
So they came back and got it close.
Yeah.
That's disturbing a little bit, I think, for Ohio State, because they had them put away 27-13 going into the fourth quarter, and then Maryland made a run at them again. That's a little bit disturbing. We've talked about a lot. We'll go ahead and do the Michigan game while we're at it here. This was a major surprise to me, simply because they were at home. And on their first possession of the game, I got to see that before we left for our game. They just marched it right down the field. And I thought they're ready for this game and they're going to blow them away. And they didn't do it. And that's disturbing. And the other horrible thing that happened to Michigan, I don't know how bad their running back is. Is he out? Have you heard?
We have not had an official word on that yet, but it didn't look great.
Right. So, they lose their running back, and that really hurts them going into the Ohio State game. And it hampered them in this one. This is disturbing. We were kind of talking, and a lot of people are. How good are these two teams? When you look at who they've played, they both have played one good team. Well, Ohio State's played two. They played Notre Dame and Penn State.
Yeah.
Michigan's played one. So are they as good as we think? We'll see. But Mike makes a point here. He thinks TCU can beat them both. I'm not going to go there. But this week, what a game that's going to be. We'll talk about that if we have another show this week, because what a game that's going to be. It always is. But if their running backs hurt, that really puts a damper on this Michigan-Ohio State game coming up.
Yeah, Michigan was starting to struggle before Corum got injured in that game. And then when he did, boy, they really struggled. And yeah, Mike also makes the point of, listen, the refs really helped Michigan, and they did. There was a blatant offensive pass interference call that did not get called on a fourth down play. If it does get called, they probably lose that game. I know Tennessee is very upset about it, and they have a right to be. Or not Tennessee, I'm sorry, Illinois, already looking ahead to that Tennessee game. But I know Illinois is very upset. But it is what it is. Michigan wins. That's kind of what happens, I feel like, at times in those games. Yeah. That higher-ranked team usually gets the calls. But, yeah, Michigan survives. We'll see. Without Corum, it's going to be very, very interesting this week. And like I said, we'll talk about that. I'm guessing Wednesday we'll do that show where we pick the day before Thanksgiving. All right, let's move on. TCU. It's a team of destiny. That's what you said to me in the car as we were listening to this one. TCU wins at 29-28 over Baylor. They had to run the field goal team in, and the kid makes it amazing into the game. What are your thoughts? TCU just keeps winning.
Well, they remind me so much, and this is years ago, of the 2000 Oklahoma team that made a run, came out of nowhere, and won the national championship. And down the stretch of the season, had to pull out a couple of games. If you'll remember the Texas A&M game that year when they had to come from behind repeatedly in that game at College Station to win. This similar situation here. I've heard him talking about it today, how masterfully Sonny Dykes handled the clock until the last part of it, when they botched it up and they had to rush their field goal team onto the field. And I believe they kicked it with 2 seconds left to win the game. Huge win for them. If they go undefeated, we're not going to have a whole lot of controversy, I don't think, on the playoff thing. We'll get to that here in just a little bit, what could possibly happen. They're in the driver's seat now because they've got Iowa State at home Saturday. If they had to go up there and there was weather involved, and I could see them maybe choking, but I can't see them choking at home. And then they've got the Big 12 championship game, probably against Kansas State. I don't think that's set in stone yet, is it?
It's pretty much.
Yeah. And Kansas State, some weeks they're great, other weeks they're not. So, and that game is in Arlington, I think,
Yep.
and so they're going to have a lot of fans there. I think they're going to make it. I wouldn't have said that 3 weeks ago, but I kind of think they're over the hump now. They're in the driver's seat.
They're another team that, like Mike said, they just tried to lose that game and they just didn't. They just made a play and they did it. It was just crazy to think that, man, this team just keeps winning games. They got way behind. Well, not way behind, but I mean, they were behind by 8 in the fourth quarter, had to come back. So they just made the plays. Trust me when I say this, they could play Iowa State on the moon. Iowa State is not beating TCU.
No.
I've seen that team. They're not any good.
But
K-State could beat them. If you watch the K-State game when they played at TCU this year, K-State had them for a lot of that game and blew it. Same with Oklahoma State. They had them beat and blew it too. But Kansas State could beat them. The best thing that happened to K-State is Martinez got hurt and their other quarterback's a lot better. Yep. That's going to be very interesting. That's the hurdle, but they're going to pound Iowa State this week, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, let's move on. This one, I don't know. Maybe if it's a 41-38, I go, well, they just didn't show up and Tennessee got beat, and boy, that sucks for them. For them to lose this game 63-38 is just an absolute shock. For them to lose it, period, is an absolute shock to South Carolina. South Carolina had a decent record, but if you've watched them, they're not very good. And they are especially bad on offense. They get 63 points. Spencer Rattler, who's been average, I would call it to be nice, had 6 touchdowns in this game. He looks great. Stunner in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yeah, you just kept telling me the scores, and they got 35-24 at halftime, and I thought, okay, they'll get in there and get some things straightened out. They're going to win it. And just come out and just get smoked. And it not only that, their quarterback got hurt.
Yep.
So of course, their season as far as national championship thing is over. And they lose their quarterback too. Man, double whammy. Yeah, I did not see, maybe losing, maybe I would have given them a 20% chance to lose. But like this, no.
I've seen Spencer Rattler play a quarter or a half where it's like, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. I don't think I've ever really seen him play a full game where he's been this good. He was just really good. He has a lot of talent. He's just had some troubles getting it out of himself at times. But yeah, played great. But obviously Tennessee just, terrible. And like I said, now they've lost the quarterback. Doesn't really matter now, though. I mean, their season is over as far as
I would say it's pretty quiet in Knoxville this week. That is,
what a just a shocking way to end the it's the season's not over. They're going to a couple games left, but a shocking way to put an end, let's say, to just a storybook season, right? And then go down there and lose is crazy.
Right. And if things play out the way we think they're going to, I think they were cinched to be in.
Yeah. No question.
Yeah, they would have been the one-loss team that would have gotten in.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be one loss team, at least, because Ohio State and Michigan, one of them is going to lose. So, and I think they would have got the nod over a one-loss Ohio State or Michigan, whichever team loses. So, I think unless we talked about this last week, unless that's was been a triple overtime thriller, and then they might have not gotten in, but they were pretty much a shoe-in, and now their season's pretty much wrecked, and no one's going to remember all of the great things they did. No one nationally is.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of sad. Still a good year for them to bounce.
It's a fantastic season for them, but it's going to be disappointing.
Yeah. All right. 41-10. LSU beats UAB. I tell you what, this LSU team, this is whatever. It's UAB, but they're the team that could really throw a monkey wrench in this whole thing. They were to beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. They're already in it. They do play A&M this week, but I think they'll take care of them. What do you think of LSU's chances, though, to go to the SEC championship game and beat a team like Georgia?
I don't give them much of a chance to beat Georgia. I mean, anything can happen, obviously. I just don't think they're good enough to beat them. The 13-10 game in Fayetteville, when Arkansas was out of quarterback, is kind of telling to me that they didn't beat them worse than they did. They could only score 13 points in that game. That's pretty much evidence to me they can't beat Georgia unless Georgia plays like crap, and they're not going to.
They're probably going to get beat pretty handily in that game, but let's give credit to LSU for the season they've had.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people thought they would be in the SEC championship game, as in nobody thought they would be in the SEC championship game. So they deserve a ton of credit. Probably going to beat A&M and get to 10-2, and then they'll see. They'll roll the dice in that game against Georgia. All right, huge win for USC. This was big, 48-45. It's amazing in a short amount of time that Lincoln Riley has really turned USC into the new Oklahoma. They look so much like them. Their games are so much like them. They've got the players he recruited at Oklahoma that are making the plays to win the games offensively. 48-45, many times, and we've seen it, the best quarterback on the field will win these shootout games. Caleb Williams was better than DTR, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, and they're the big winners of the weekend. USC is. They've got themselves into a position to make the playoffs. And do you want to go through all that right now or wait till we're done?
Yeah, let's go through it now. So here's the deal. USC now sits as, I think, the one-loss team that's got the best shot of getting in that's not in the top four. So what I mean is, I think it's if USC can beat Notre Dame and then beat a Pac-12 champion, probably going to be Oregon. Will they edge out the loser of that Ohio State-Michigan game? That is the big question right now.
It is, and I don't think they will, because the other two teams have been ranked up that high all that time, unless it's a blowout. Mm-hmm. Unless one of those teams gets beat bad, and then USC is very impressive in winning. So USC needs TCU to lose.
Well, if TCU loses and USC wins out, it's a done deal. USC's in.
Yeah. It is. They're in. So that's what we really need to root for.
Well, let's take it like this. Let's just assume Georgia's going to win and the Ohio State Michigan winner is that. So that's 1 and 2. And then, like you said, if TCU loses, all of a sudden, Clemson, who we totally wrote off, is kind of back in the picture a little bit too. Because then you've got 2 slots and you're deciding. Now, again, this is if TCU loses. You've got 2 slots that are open and you're deciding between, let's say, a 1-loss USC, a 1-loss Clemson, and a 1-loss loser of that Ohio State-Michigan game. So the score of this Ohio State-Michigan game is going to mean an awful lot.
It is. They're going to have to – the loser of that game can't get blown out, I think, if USC runs the table.
Yeah.
And then you got a 1-loss TCU that we're just pitching out the window. Now, they are not going to beat out the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game or USC. That's not happening.
TCU's road's very easy. Win 2 games and you're in. Lose any of the 2, you're out.
Yeah. They should beat out Clemson, in my opinion, though. But they wouldn't beat them out either.
They probably would not. No.
So I'm going to give you a scenario here.
Okay.
Where an Alabama or an LSU still have a shot.
Okay.
Now, a lot of crazy stuff. Did you know we only have, at this precise time, we have 4 undefeateds. We're only going to have 3 at the most. Okay? Mm-hmm. We only have 3 teams that have only lost 1.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Is that not nuts?
Yep.
Usually you have more than 3 that have only lost 1. And one of them is Coastal Carolina. So throw that out.
Right. Yeah.
So there's going to be more than that because, and in this scenario that I'm going to throw out there, there's even going to be more. So let's say Georgia goes ahead and wins out. All right. So we'll place them in there. They're in.
Yep.
And we'll have the Big 12 or Big 10 champion. They're in.
Yep.
Okay. That's 2. All right. Then you got Michigan, or I'm just going to say Michigan. I keep saying that, if the running back doesn't play, I've got to pick Ohio State in that game. All right. And then let's say TCU loses.
Mm-hmm.
The question
let me stop you before you go on. What do you think the chances of TCU losing are? I still think it's like a 40% chance they could lose.
I'll go 35.
Okay.
I'll go 65-35.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, who's the next one?
All right. Let's say Clemson loses again. They're not probably going to, but let's say they do. This scenario I'm doing is crazy.
Well, listen, I know, and I like it. So South Carolina, and they have South Carolina, and they have North Carolina.
North Carolina. And
what
with
do you
their
think your chances of losing are?
20%.
Probably the same. Okay, next.
But with their offense, you never know.
Yeah.
It could happen. All right. So
Yes.
that's all right. So throw them over in the pile.
Yep.
All right. If they lose again, they're out. There's no scenario to get them in with 2 losses.
Right.
I don't think. USC loses. Okay, let's throw them over there.
So USC, they have 2 really tough games left. They've got Notre Dame, and then they will have a Oregon, a Washington, a Utah, not a Utah, but an Oregon or a Washington probably. So really 2 really tough games left. I think they're like strictly 50-50 to win.
I'm going to rate them 60-40.
Okay, about the same. So anyway, okay, let's say they lose.
Okay. All right. So what do we got? We got Georgia.
Yep.
We got Ohio State.
Yep.
Clemson's out. USC's out.
Yep.
We got Michigan.
Michigan, under this scenario, you're laying out Michigan or Ohio State. The loser would be number 3.
Yep. And then you got a 1-loss. Then you got a 1-loss TCU. Are you going to tell me TCU's going to beat out Alabama? I don't think they'll take them.
It's a crazy scenario.
It could happen.
But it could happen. I don't give it a great chance of happening. I think one of those teams will come through, but
I'm just throwing it out for fun.
Yeah, no, I know, and I get it. And I think that would be a very interesting discussion. It would come down between Alabama and TCU.
Yeah, in this scenario. It would.
Yeah.
It sure would. And I don't know that they would take TCU. I really don't. I think they should, but
I think it would be dangerous to take Alabama, who didn't even win their side, although that's...
And they didn't even make the championship game.
Done that before.
They really, when you look at Alabama, their best win is Mississippi, right?
Yeah, and that's not that good of a win, really.
No. They're going to hold the Big 12 against TCU.
Yeah. I don't think Alabama would get in that situation.
You wouldn't want to bet money on it, would you?
No, I would not. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the name on the jersey with these voters or committee or whatever it is. So
scenario would be, what if LSU beats Georgia?
If LSU beats Georgia, I think they're going to be in.
Well, not if TCU. TCU'd have to lose. Georgia's in. Georgia is in, one way or the other.
Georgia's in, but I think LSU would be in if they beat them.
So they'd get in over a 1-loss Michigan or Ohio State and a 1-loss USC.
Yep. I really believe they would.
Won't that be fascinating if that happens?
And that's what I said. That's why I said it kind of before. That's the one team out there that could throw the whole thing into a weird funk, because LSU beating them, and again, I don't really necessarily think it's going to happen, but LSU beating them would be wild. And that would throw some wild stuff in the equation, because you're right. Georgia's in. We saw them lose last year in the SEC championship game and then win the national championship. But if LSU beats Georgia, that's going to go a long, long ways.
Going into last weekend, we didn't really have any drama in this. It was pretty cut and dried if everything went the way we thought. And now Tennessee losing has given us a little bit of drama.
It does 2 things. It opens up a lot of scenarios, and 2, it shows us maybe Georgia's the only team that's really unbeatable. Nobody's unbeatable, but unbeatable, so to speak.
Above the rest.
Yeah, it's like, Ohio State almost lost to Maryland or Michigan. And the other thing about it is, Michigan, like I said, the score of the game is really going to matter. Their running backs out, maybe it snowballs on them, and then that could really play a factor. I don't know. I think LSU probably in if they win out. As weird as it sounds, I think 2-loss LSU probably controls their own destiny in this thing.
I don't know if they can beat out a 1-loss USC. I don't know. USC's got all of these stories. You got Lincoln Riley in his first year. You got Caleb Williams. They've got, and they're going to get some bonus points because they beat UCLA. They're going to have to beat Notre Dame and more than likely Oregon 3 straight weeks in a row. You don't think they're going to parlay that into? I'm really, the more I think about it, I think they may beat a 1-loss Big Ten team.
I think they deserve to get in if they go 11-1.
Okay, I'm going to throw another dumb
12-1. 12-1.
I think it will hurt them if Michigan beats Ohio State. I think they would take USC over Michigan before they will over Ohio State.
Totally agree with that statement. Yes.
And that's wrong too.
Yeah.
To say that. But Ohio State to me is the glamour team of those two between them and Michigan.
Now, I think the weight of USC is big, though. Like if this was Washington with 1 loss, UCLA even with 1 loss, I don't think they would be thinking as highly. But it's USC, and again, this is the big one. They can beat Notre Dame, and I don't care that Notre Dame's lost 3. They are a good team, and they totally screwed themselves by losing to Marshall and Stanford.
Like Mike says.
Mike's in. That's why I got Mike's comment up here, and he's right. Because if Notre Dame hadn't lost those games, this would be a playoff semifinal game, like he points out this week with USC and Notre Dame. But that being said, that doesn't mean this Notre Dame team isn't good, because they are. They could beat them, and then that's the end of the discussion. But if USC beats them, that's a really quality win and one that's going to go a long ways for them.
Yeah, and especially if they handle them easily.
Yeah.
That's another thing to look for.
Yep.
I think USC got a break with Oregon winning. I think they can beat Oregon easier than they could Utah. And that's maybe dumb to say.
Yeah.
But, and I'll tell you another thing. Don't you think they're not glad they have that game in LA this weekend instead of having gone to South Bend and win a game up there?
Oh, absolutely. That would be even harder for them to do. And like I said, the game's in LA, and they're going to be a favorite, and they've got a great shot. But listen, it's not easy to reel off those 3 wins right in a row. So they deserve to be in.
Come on,
to the point. Kind of to the point I'd like to see them in it, because I've watched them. I think they're really good. I mean, they remind me so much of a good Oklahoma team.
Well, they're really good on offense, but they cannot match up against the Georgia.
Well, here's the key to this week. This is the best defense they faced, hands down.
Yeah, there's no question.
If Notre Dame slows them down, they're going to get beat this week because they don't play enough defense.
The problem is Notre Dame doesn't have a dynamic offense.
Correct. Yeah, correct. But you've seen this before. If you slow down his teams, I don't think they're going to be able to beat them. So, but I'm not convinced Notre Dame will slow them down. I think USC might out-athlete them.
I think so too.
So
I think the 7-point line is about right.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's not the 7 point. What is it? It's I thought it was 7. It's 5.
5. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that on Wednesday, but that's going to be the marquee game of the week, in my opinion.
Yep.
Alabama, Austin Peay 34-0. We talked about Clemson. They beat the hapless Hurricanes 40-10. I don't know if Miami's ever coming back, to be honest. They're about as bad as Nebraska. They're not, but they're about as bad.
I think they're very, very similar. They've won a couple more games, but they've lost horrible games. I mean, just get blown out at Clemson. You're supposed to have all those athletes. You just get stomped, and then Florida State beats the snot out of you in Miami. Yeah, you're not very good.
Yep. All right, let's go on here. Let's go Oregon and Utah. Big win for Oregon. They beat Utah 20-17. Kind of got that Utah monkey off their back. Yeah, I mean, what do you think about this Oregon team? It's been an impressive first year. There's no question.
Oh, there's no doubt. They've had a great season. I would say, let me see that game. I believe, yeah, it's in Oregon State this week.
It's a huge game.
And oh, by the way, Oregon State's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And they had Washington last week, Utah this week, and then next week, which is this week actually, they've got Oregon State. That's 3 toughies in a row to go through, and that better not stump their toe because I could see them getting beat.
Yeah,
Dallas.
I could too.
Saturday. That'll be a heck of a game. It always is. Those two teams hate each other.
That will be fun. I think that's Friday night. I was looking at the schedule today. I think that's a Friday night game.
Oh, that'll be great.
So, yeah, that'll be fun. Penn State, 55-10 over Rutgers. You kind of talked about it. Penn State's the only other team that's decent in the Big Ten. Georgia Tech beats North Carolina at North Carolina, 20-17. Explain to me how this happens.
Well, I just say they weren't ready to play. It's what surprises me is they only scored 17 points with the offense that they have, and shut out in the second half. 14-0 in the second half.
Yeah,
that is got to be a bitter loss. I mean, they have North Carolina State next week, and that is a big deal to them. That's a huge rival, but you wouldn't think they would be, with North Carolina State struggling like they are right now, you wouldn't think they'd been looking ahead to that. They've kind of been asking to get beat the last couple of weeks, and everybody knows they're not as great as their record shows. But that was a shocker, an absolute shocker.
If they would have lost 41-38, you'd be like, yeah, that's, but 21-17 just really shocked me.
And shut out in the second half with that offense and that quarterback. They didn't see the game, of course. I don't know whether the weather has anything to do with it or not, but
no.
It shows here on the thing, ESPN, they did drop a crucial touchdown pass late in the game, dropped it that would have won it. So got to make those plays.
Yes, you do. All right. How about this one? Arkansas rebounds off of a narrow loss. Like I said, it's amazing when your quarterback comes back and he's healthy, how good you can look on offense first when he's not there. They dominated this game. They jumped way ahead of Ole Miss, who was not ready to play, obviously. Yeah. 42-27, Arkansas now bowl eligible.
We really goofed up. We should have bet that game because Arkansas is better than their record.
Yeah.
And that they usually play well against Ole Miss. There's no way Ole Miss could be ready to play that game after losing to Alabama like they did. That was dumb that I didn't pick that. It was just stupid.
I agree. I felt the same way. Kansas State, 48-31 win at West Virginia. Washington dominates Colorado 54-7. Notre Dame 44-0 over Boston College.
Washington's another team. What a season! What a turnaround! They weren't even bowl eligible last year, and they can beat Washington State, and that's another great game this week. I think 10-2. That's a pretty good year, I'll tell you.
Yeah, very good year for Washington. Hopefully they beat Washington State this week. Florida State, 49-17. They continue a very quiet turnaround down there. They've gotten a lot better in year 2 here. 49-17. They got Florida this week. They could finish 9-3, go to a bowl, win it, and get 10 wins. That'd be a big step for Florida State. Yep. See if they can do that. Navy beats Central Florida 17-14. Another one you just can't explain, can you?
That was in Orlando.
Yes.
It's just no, I can't.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Maybe one of the most boring games we've ever attended in Oklahoma after the first quarter, but it is a win over a ranked opponent. Oklahoma wins 28-13. They are now bowl eligible. Boy, first quarter, we kind of looked at each other like, wow, we may have finally turned the corner. And then we realized, no, we're still really bad in the next 3 quarters. Thoughts on the game in Norman on Saturday?
Well, I've listened to a little bit of Oklahoma radio today, and, everybody's just baffled here. We beat our rival, won Bedlam, got bowl eligible, and everybody left shaking their head going, what did we just see?
Yeah.
For those of you that didn't see it, they couldn't have played any better first quarter, 28-0, could have been 35.
Yeah.
Going in, fumbled on the 4-yard line. didn't score the rest of the game. What was it? 12 possessions. They had 12 more possessions and didn't do anything offensively. Nothing. Clock management was pathetic. It was a disaster, and they had to hold on. And Oklahoma State, in one regard, you got to praise their quarterback for being tough. He's hurt. He threw 67 passes. He ran the ball 17 times. A gutty performance, but he was terrible. He did not play well. And thank God for that, or they would have blown a 28-0 lead. There's no doubt in my mind they would have. So, but their defense did play hard, and I believe it was the longest game I've ever seen for 28-13.
I looked at you in the third quarter and I said, are you bored out of your mind? And you're like, yes.
This game, folks, started at 6:30, and we got to the car around 11. And there was only 41 points scored, but 67 passes, probably 25 or 30 were incomplete.
Yeah.
Clock stops. Oh, you'd get the ball in a hurry-up offense with a big lead, snap it with 25 seconds left on the clock. They'd run 2 running plays, throw an incomplete pass, and then punt it. It was just monotonous, just over and over and over.
What he's describing was the whole last 3 quarters of the game.
Yeah.
And it's not an exaggeration. Oh, you made 2 first downs after the first quarter.
Yeah. And
they literally would run, pass, run off a minute, punt it.
Yeah. And then you got 3 minutes of timeouts because whatever network was on, they got all of the commercial advertising they could possibly get out of that game. I don't know how they had enough commercials.
Yeah.
Man, and it was cold. The second half was really cold.
Yeah.
And you couldn't leave because Oklahoma was so bad on defense. It was in jeopardy until the last
well,
play. So.
Now let me jump in and say something that I didn't think I'd say this season about an OU game. Their defense was fantastic in this game. This was a game you walk out and you go, that is what I thought this defense would look like under Brent Venables.
Yeah, they were
really good.
They were unbelievable. I think Oklahoma State ran 104 plays.
Yes.
And scored 13 points.
Yes.
These are statistics you just don't see. The Oklahoma punter punted 11 times. I don't think he punted 11 times the entire season last year. 11 times.
It was the worst 15-point win ever.
Yeah. and the punter was the star of the game. That in the Oklahoma defense.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. The punter's unbelievable. I think his average was 52 yards on 11.
Yeah, it was in the 50s.
Yeah. And
it was freezing cold.
Yeah, and
still just booming.
The Oklahoma State punter was just as good.
Yeah, that was the funnest part of the game after the first quarter was watching the punts.
It was, yeah. And if that's the funnest part of the game, you know what we're talking about. So
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I was watching the whole time because the first quarter we looked so good, and then the next 3 quarters I still couldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, that's enough about this.
Thankfully, one more game in the regular season and a bowl, and it's over. So that's not all I
By the way, they were giving bowl projections today, and this is how good some of these bowl projections are. They had Oklahoma against Arizona, and Arizona's 4-7, and there's no way they're going to be bowl eligible.
No.
Who writes this stuff? Who comes up? I mean, come on, do your
Jason
research.
Says Gundy must have wanted to jump off a bridge. I think everybody at that stadium was about ready to jump off a bridge by the time it was over.
Oh my God!
All right, Oregon State. You talked about them. They set up a big game with Oregon with a win here against Arizona State, 31-7. Let's talk Louisville for a second. This was a big win, 25-10. So. Big game for the Cardinals coming up against the Kentucky Wildcats this weekend. Yeah. Good season for Louisville, though.
Very good. Very good. I think they win that game this weekend, too.
Cincinnati doesn't get a lot of love for the season they're having, but I thought it was a really good, season after what they did last year, which was fantastic. Lost a lot of players. They're now 9-2, still ranked a solid 23-3 win over Temple.
Probably should be ranked higher.
Yeah.
I would say. No respect for them. But, yeah, they could finish 11-2. wait a minute, wait, they could play 14 games because they've got a championship game, so they could be 12-2.
Well, yeah. If they would, or to win to this week, the championship game and the bowl game, yes, they could go 12-2. That would be very, very impressive. Play Tulane this week. We'll talk about that game on Wednesday. That's a big game.
Yeah,
that'll be a lot of fun. That conference is good. They've got good teams in that conference.
They do. That's a solid league.
All right, let's go down to Mexico real quick before we go on and see what happened in the NFL this week. They got one more game left. It's the Niners. It's the Cardinals. Like I said, down in Mexico. Where it was always meant to play, right? 9.5-point favorite for the Niners. What do you think about this one?
Well, you can go down to Mexico City. I don't really want to.
I will not. No.
Now, Cancun, those kind of plays, that'd be all right, but I don't want to go down there. And I'm sure most of these players didn't want to go down there.
Say not. No.
What do I think? Well, the 49ers should win. I don't know about that 9.5. That's a pretty good line. Is Kyler Murray going to play?
The last I heard, he was a game time decision. I think he's going to play now, though.
Me too. I don't know how healthy he will be.
Yeah.
I like the Niners tonight, but I'm not going to take 9.5. So I'd have to go Arizona plus 9.5.
Yeah, I get it. Boy, I'm not looking for. I don't care about this game.
No, the Blues playing. I'm not even going to watch this.
So
game.
Is it Colt now? Colt's going to play? I hadn't heard that. The last I checked, it was still Murray. It doesn't really matter to me.
I don't think it is either. No,
it doesn't really matter. Kyler's seems like he's checked out, and
yeah, they might be better with Colt. They won last week with him.
Exactly. They kind of looked better last week. So we'll see what happens this game. I don't know. I don't care about this game. I don't know. I just because football's on doesn't mean you have to bet it, and especially when I bet hockey all the time. So I really don't care to have to bet football anymore.
And here's another thing too. We'll get into this playoff situation here in just a minute. Arizona wins, they're still in it. They still got a shot if they win tonight. I mean, it's slim, but they got a shot.
Yeah.
When you look at some of these teams. So
it's like a couple of people in the chat are going to play the Cardinals plus 10. I get it, but like I said, I won't watch a second of this game, to be completely honest.
No, I won't either.
I don't care. I've seen the Cardinals enough to last a lifetime after watching them for the last few years, especially with Kingsbury. Okay, let's move on to what happened, though. Big win for the Titans. They just keep winning. They're not pretty, but they still just win. 27-17 win over the Packers. I think we can finally stick a fork in the Packers. Titans, they're right there again.
Well, yeah, and last year they got the number 1 seed in the AFC. I don't think they're going to this year, but I would be surprised if they don't get number 2 before it's all over with. We're just going to have to shut up and realize they're efficient. They know how to win, and they win ugly, but they win, and that's just what they do.
I think you missed one of the biggest points. They are so well coached.
They are.
They kind of remind me of the Patriots a little bit. They are not that good, but you look up and it's like, what the hell? They're 7-3?
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. And they take advantage of their division being poor. But you know what? That's what you have to do.
Absolutely.
And it's not their fault they play in that division. No. That's not their fault. So don't hold it against them.
Yep. All right, let's move on. Big win for them. Falcons. This is a big win for the Falcons. 27-24 over the Bears. The poor Bears, man, they just cannot find a way to win games. They're in them all of a sudden. They just cannot find a way to win them. Yeah,
that's because they're not very good. And they got to win these games. You have to win these. When you play a team that's not very good either. You say, well, what's this a big win for the Falcons? Well, they're 5-6, but they could win the division and be 8-9. It's that simple. Yep. It's going to come down. Every game they win is big because Tampa's schedule is a little tougher than theirs down the stretch. And, the Bucs are 5-5. So Atlanta's right there. They kept themselves alive. They're one of the big winners of the weekend, really. And their schedule's not as tough. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think Tampa's going to win it.
Yeah.
You want to think they will. It seems like they're kind of getting some things straightened out. But big win for the Falcons.
Yeah, and Fields got hurt in this game, as Jason brought up. He's day to day. We'll see what happens with him. But at this point, the Bears season pretty much over. Playing for next year, which is something the Bears are definitely used to doing. All right, the Bills, good bounce back win here, 31-23 over the Browns. The score is a little bit closer than what that game really was. They had that game for most of it in pretty good shape, at least in the second half. I still don't think Allen's healthy. You watch him, he just doesn't look quite right.
Nope.
What did you think of this one?
Oh, it went about the way I thought. Cleveland's awful. Yeah, and again, Buffalo may be a wild card team. Miami's playing well, so we'll see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
We'll go down to the next one. Skip down to the Jets and Patriots for a second.
Yeah.
What a bizarre.
Whew.
I've never seen that before, I don't think.
No. So Jets and Patriots, it's a 10-3 final. It was 3-3. The Jets punt with under 30 seconds to go, and the Patriots take it to the house and return the punt for a touchdown to win the game.
I've never seen that, I don't think, in an NFL game. I don't know that I've ever seen it anywhere.
I would agree with Jason. This game had to have made the Oklahoma last 3 quarters look good because this was a terrible game.
It was. But what I was getting at is all 4 teams in the AFC East might make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in the NFC East.
Yeah.
Because Miami, one will win the division.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo and Miami are both 7-3. The Jets are both 6-4.
Jets and Patriots, yep.
Jets and the Patriots are both 6-4. The only other 6-4 team, Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And the next team with the next best record is Los Angeles at 5-5, and they ain't winning nothing. So, I mean, you might as well forget them. That is the most pathetic bunch of losers I've ever seen. I mean,
I totally agree.
They have so much talent to be that bad.
Let's hold on. We'll get to that in just a second.
All right.
I have a lot to say as well. I'm 100% behind you on this.
I do think Cincinnati will beat one of those.
Let's be honest. The Jets are probably going to fall.
Yeah,
it's a good story. They're probably going to fall. The Patriots are not any good,
but they might make it.
They might make it because they're the Patriots and because they have a great coach. That if you gave this roster to maybe any other coach in this league, I don't think they're 6-4. This roster is not good.
They're not.
No. But they find ways. They just find ways. So
I know. You can't bet against them.
Give them credit. Eagles, what a win this was. You might say, what are you talking about? They beat the Colts by 1. This is terrible. Listen, the Colts had them down the whole game. The Eagles rallied with 14 points in the second half, or the fourth quarter, I should say, to win. Had a touchdown late in the game to win. Holy cow. What a win for the Eagles.
It really was. And we said on the Daily Show yesterday, trap game for the Eagles.
Yeah, we both took Indianapolis plus that 6.5, and that paid off.
Yeah, because they're coming off their first loss. It was Monday night.
Yep.
They lost, so they lost a day of preparation, and then to come in and get a win on the road against a desperate Indianapolis team that's not as bad as their record. They're not very good, but they got a chance to beat you in Indy. That's for sure. And they go in there and come from behind. Huge win for the Eagles.
Big time win for the Eagles, no doubt about it. Huge for that division too, because now they're 2 games ahead of everybody. So it's a big time win. We'll tell you why they're 2 games ahead here in just a second. But first, let's talk about the Saints who get a win over the Rams, 27-20. Are the Rams the worst Super Bowl champion ever to come back the next year?
I'd have to research that, but off the top of my head, I'd have to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're done. They're out. Forget it. Put a fork in them. They're not winning 7 more to get in there. There's not. And they're injury riddled. They're injury riddled, and it's not good. And the Saints, that's just a win. That's all. They're not going anywhere either. So
no, those 2 teams are bad.
Yeah.
Okay, this was the big one.
Yep.
The Lions. That's right. The Lions go into New York and win 31-18. I think everybody that's watched this Giants team, they're not shocked that this happened. They've kind of been living on the edge. Another team I think they're coached really well. They've done a really good job to get to 7-3. I'm not saying the Giants are done by any stretch, but it's alarming. They could be starting to tail off a bit. What did you think of this one?
Well, they've taken advantage of a weak schedule, which you have to do, and they have.
Mm-hmm.
And they got them yesterday. Somebody finally bit them, and the Lions have won 3 in a row. They've won 4 games, and they look good. They really do. They could have won another 1 or 2 and be in the playoff hunt, but they're the Lions, and they lost a couple. But still, 4-6, 3 in a row. This might be a team you don't want to play right now. They're starting to get some confidence. I think they play Buffalo.
Thursday night. Yep.
Yeah,
Thursday afternoon.
On Thanksgiving. So
Yep.
That's an interesting game. Yeah, the Giants are 7-3. They're still in great shape for the playoffs. But I'm with you. They might start to fall. But they won 7, so.
Both these teams will play on Thanksgiving because the Giants will play at Dallas right after that Lions-Buffalo game. So huge game there for the Giants. They need a bounce back. We'll see what happens. I don't know. It wasn't good. They were. It was a pretty ugly game for the Giants for sure. Speaking of ugly,
no, this is ugly.
This game, the Ravens beat the Panthers 13-3. This was a joke.
3-3 going into the fourth quarter. This is a 7-3 team.
Offense is so bad, and the you picked the Panthers plus 13, and it was a good pick because Baltimore, no matter who they play, it's going to be close. I'm just totally convinced of that.
Are they the worst 7-3 team? Well, maybe the Giants are worse, but you don't expect anything out of the Giants. This team.
I'm totally convinced if Carolina would have scored 27, Baltimore would have scored 30. They play to the level of the competition. I think that's what it is.
You can't trust them.
Wow.
I think they're going to win the division, but I wouldn't bet a nickel on it.
Yeah.
So, as bad as the Panthers were offensively yesterday, and with as much talent as Baltimore has, they should have beat them 34-3. It was just ridiculous. So anyway, they're 7-3. They're in solid shape to make the playoffs. But my goodness, they're tough to watch.
They are, but they're, like I said, they're 7-3, and they're probably going to make it. And I think if they could ever put it all together, but I've been saying that for like 3 years on this team. I just don't know about them anymore. A team that is another team I think is really well coached. The Washington Commanders. They win again, 23-10. They should go down to Tennessee or to Houston and win, and they did. Easy win, 23-10. Commanders are 6-5. So the NFC East is about as good as the AFC East.
Well, it's better when you look at the overall records.
True. Yeah.
Because Philly's 9-1. But when you look at the playoff teams right now, you've got the 4 division leaders, Philly, which they're almost a cinch to make the playoffs. Can't read my writing here. Minnesota, who stubbed their toe yesterday, but they've got such a big lead. They're almost a cinch to make the playoffs. Tampa Bay is shaky, and so is Seattle. Both of those are shaky. They're in first at the moment, but they're shaky. But then when you start looking, you got Dallas 7-3, Giants 7-3. You got the Niners at 5-4. They'll either be 6-4 or 5-5 after tonight.
Yeah.
And then you got the Redskins, not the Redskins, the Commanders at 7-5 or 6-5. They're the 4th team.
Yeah.
And they're playing as well as anybody.
Yeah.
Tyler Heineke has given them a spark. And yeah, they should have went and won at Houston, but how many times do you see teams like them not do it? And they won it.
To me, like the difference between the Commanders and the Falcons. Like the Falcons went to Carolina, they should win, and they lose, right?
Yeah.
Commanders, they go on the road, a team they should beat, and they beat them. And
they had a 20-0 lead at the half.
Yeah, give them credit.
That's care of business.
Yep.
So better watch this team. I like them a lot. I mean, I watched all of the Washington Philly game, and they played great in Philadelphia.
Yep.
And Philly's good, and they handled them. So this is a team to watch.
Dennis thinks the Commanders kind of showed the rest of the league how to defend the Eagles, how to beat the Eagles, how to make them vulnerable. Could be right.
Well, it may be, and I'm checking it real quick. I don't think they have played the Cowboys. I think they may have them twice. You recall them playing? I don't remember them playing the Cowboys yet.
After they get to 10 games, I can't remember exactly who they played.
They have played them once. Dallas beat them in Dallas. Here's who they've got. They got Atlanta this week at home, so they should win that.
Yeah.
Then they got a huge one with the Giants, and at that time, the Giants might be coming off two in a row.
Yep.
Two losses in a row. they're better than the Giants, I think.
Where's the game at?
In New York, so that'll be tough. They got the Giants back to back.
Okay. Well,
there's a bye in between there. So it's the Giants they haven't played.
Yeah.
So they play the Giants on the 4th, and then they have a bye and play them the next week in Washington. And they got a toughie at San Francisco. That'll be tough.
Yeah.
They got the Browns at home. They got Dallas at home. So of those 6 games, you got Atlanta, 2 with the Giants. All right, say you beat Atlanta, that's 7. Say you beat Cleveland, that's 8. I think they split with the Giants.
Yeah.
There's your 9, and you've still got the Niners and Dallas. And that game possibly at the end of the season, Dallas may have clinched a playoff berth by then. I'm just guessing. 9 wins will probably get them in.
10 will for sure should. So
I don't know if they're good enough to rip that off or not, but they're interesting.
They are. They're a scrappy team.
They are.
They're going to be a tough out no matter what. So
yeah,
we'll see. You know who's not good and who's not scrappy? The Broncos. They lost at home. This is a joke. They lost at home to the Raiders 22-16. They lost at home to the Raiders. They scored 16 points. So once again, it stands. They would only have 1 loss on the season if they could get their 18 or more points in
unbelievable
game. This is the worst team in the NFL.
How would you like to have a defense that good and you can't win?
They are worse this year with Russell Wilson on offense than they've been in the past with.
Oh, there's no doubt. No doubt.
It's awful.
Oh, those fans are going to be livid out there.
It's awful. I mean, it's awful. It's embarrassing.
Yep.
Speaking of embarrassing, what happened to the Vikings? They were not ready to play this game at all. Cowboys take advantage. 40-3. Are you kidding me?
Just thrashed them.
Yeah.
Dallas, when Dallas is clicking, they're as good as anybody in the NFC.
It's hard to quit making fun of Russ. He has just been abysmal. And yeah, Nathaniel Hackett, I can't believe they haven't fired him. This is one of the biggest disasters of a season ever. Because you had a lot of hype coming in. You got new pieces, and all your new pieces are worse than the guys you had the years before. I mean, it's incredible. The most disappointing season I can remember from a team. Yeah. Just awful. And listen, sometimes when this happens, the quarterback gets hurt or you got a ton of injuries around the quarterback. There's no excuse. They're just terrible.
It all starts with the quarterback situation. Yeah. That's where it started. That's where they thought they had found their answer, because that's what they thought they were missing the most, which looks like they were, but they didn't get anything. He's been worse than what they had.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yep.
All right, well, ended up here with the Bengals. Big win over the Steelers, 37-30. Wasn't pretty, but they did it, and that's all that matters. The Bengals, when you're the Bengals right now, you just got to win games, and they did. Give them credit for that. All right, let's talk about your Chargers. That's right, they're your favorite team. We said on the Daily Show.
Well, you nailed it.
You did too. You said it too. We've watched it enough. I said this is how this game's gonna go. Take the Chargers plus the 5.5, no doubt. Take them. And we will go on here and we'll come on our show Monday and we'll talk about all the, how the hell did the Chargers lose? How did they blow this again? Because they are going to lose. So if you're betting the money line, make sure to take Kansas City. If you're betting the points, make sure to take the Chargers. And the Chargers blow it 30-27 over the Chiefs. Give the Chiefs credit. Mahomes and Kelsey, absolutely fantastic. They're the best 2 players in this league at their positions, and they deserve a ton of credit. But here the Chargers are at 5-5, once again underachieving.
What they score was 1:46 left. The Chargers, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I knew the game was over. That made it 27-23. They could have scored with 14 seconds left, and the game was over because they would have let the Chiefs go score. There's
100%. Yeah.
So they kick it off, and I'm looking at their defense. They're beat. Their defense is beat. Yeah. You could just see it.
Oh yeah.
I was walking with my buddy this morning, and I said, they would have been better off just to let the Chiefs score on the first play.
Yep.
And they'd have had 1:40 maybe to go down, and they wouldn't have won. They just screwed it all up.
No, they would have done something dumb to lose, but they would have been better off.
Better off. Now, if I'm going to get beat, and maybe this guy is just that good, I don't know. Travis Kelce is not going to be running wide open.
No.
Down the field.
Yeah, you do everything you can for him not to be the one.
If I have to put 5 guys on him, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Or if I have to get a pass interference penalty, I'm going to get it.
Yeah. He's
not going to be wide open. I do not understand. Now, maybe he's that good.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give him enough credit. He is a tremendous player. And once he catches the ball, he has got deceiving speed.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And he knows where that end zone is, and he is fantastic.
He's a star.
He is.
Yeah.
But you can't let him be, what was it, 2 plays in a row? He's wide open or
yeah.
2 pass plays, I think Mahomes.
Well, listen, he was wide open the whole game.
He was, and he always is against the Chargers.
Yes. Yeah.
I'd like to know how many touchdown passes he has against the Chargers. But then the other thing, the Chargers get the ball back with 30 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, they only need a field goal. They run 2 plays, and he gets sacked both plays.
Yep.
He has 0 time to throw the ball.
I went back and watched the first play. I think it was a quarterback draw.
It looked like it. What kind of a stupid call is that?
When I watched it the first time, I was like, that wasn't a quarterback draw, surely. But you watch it the second time, he just kind of takes off with it. I think they called a quarterback draw on first down with Herbert.
Yeah. When you've got to get into field goal range, okay, say he makes, what are you going to make on a quarterback draw in NFL? 10 yards, maybe?
Maybe.
As fast as those guys are.
Yeah.
Now in college, you might make 30. You ain't going to in the NFL. Those guys are too fast.
Yeah.
Do you see quarterback draws in the NFL very often?
Down around the goal line, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And then the second time, then on the last play, he didn't even they hit him. Okay. Don't teams usually rush 3 guys in that situation? Was the Chiefs rush 3 and get on him in a second and a half?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be so mad if I was a Chargers fan, but there's only about 10 of them anyway. So
right. Yeah. Well, Jared was texting me. He's like, "This is the most frustrating game ever." I said, "Jared, I've seen this movie 100 times. You're not losing the game, so
this is
calm
down. This is a rerun."
Well, the first half I didn't watch it, and we were watching the CFL, the Grey Cup, and
I didn't do that. But anyway,
Jared's like, the Chiefs are on. I was like, Jared, it's like watching like Step Brothers for the 100th time. Like, I know what's going to happen in that game. I don't need to watch it. And it happened exactly like it always does. CFL game was great, by the way. Fantastic game. Toronto beat them by a point. Great game. Anyway, so Toronto wins the Grey Cup. But yeah, Chiefs win. Chiefs, I mean, and look at this division. What a joke. We all thought these teams would be good. Raiders are horrible. Broncos are beyond horrible. And the Chargers are still the Chargers.
Yeah. But before we quit, let's give the Chiefs the credit they deserve.
1,000%. The Chiefs deserve a ton of credit. Absolutely. Do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to. People bash them. They're 8-2.
Oh yeah.
Only one team with a better record than you, and that's the Eagles.
Yeah.
Unless you fall completely on your face, you're going to be the number 1 seed again.
Yep.
In the AFC, and what more do you want?
Yep.
You want home field advantage at Arrowhead.
I think the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl.
I think Mahomes is playing better than he's played in the last couple of years.
Mahomes is playing fantastic.
Yeah,
yes.
He is. Yes. With limited weapons. They don't have the weapons they had last year.
No.
And that's why these games are a little closer than they've been. Yep. They can't run the ball.
Nope.
Not consistently. They don't have that deep threat. But they know how to win. They do. They know how to win.
Great coach.
Yeah. Even keel all the time.
Yes. Yeah.
When things are going bad, no difference. They just play. Yep. He doesn't get shook. The coach doesn't.
Nope.
But you know what? When you got a guy like Mahomes and you got another one like Kelsey, you don't have to get shook.
To his credit, though, he always has a good quarterback because he knows how to find quarterbacks.
He's a great coach, great offensive mind.
Yeah.
he's one of the best ever. I mean, look at his record. My God, he's a great coach.
So this is Jason. It makes a good point. He said Tyreek enjoying South Beach, waiting for the Chiefs or watching the Chiefs make a beeline for the Super Bowl. You know, it's kind of worked out for both teams.
It has.
The Chiefs don't really seem like they're missing a beat so far, and he's great. He's having a great season, and so's Miami. So it's kind of worked out for both. And honestly, that might be the AFC Championship game. Like, there's a good chance of it. If Josh Allen is injured still and that elbow is going to bother him, I think like the Dolphins could get there.
Yeah, sure they could.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's also fascinating. We're through 10 games now. Some teams have played 11. And when you look at this, when you look at it, there is not a super team.
No.
Everybody's vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know, I would have to rank the Chiefs number one.
I would. Yep.
The way Buffalo's playing right now, I don't know that I rank them number two.
No.
But I don't know if I can put the Eagles number two either.
The Eagles are extremely vulnerable for 9-1. Extremely vulnerable for a 9-1 team.
I mean, they deserve all the credit in the world.
Yes.
But their schedule's not been very good.
No.
And I don't want to take anything away from them because I was impressed with them the night they lost. They just turned the ball over and they couldn't stop the Redskins. But
listen,
Hurts is good.
If Dallas, I think Dallas would be up there if they hadn't lost that game to Green Bay. There it is. Dennis just mentioned it. Cowboys.
Yeah,
they would have a legit argument to be like 3-4-2, maybe. Yeah,
and I agree totally with both of you. But they're the Cowboys.
And that's the problem. Yeah.
They're vulnerable. They always are. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants don't beat them Thanksgiving Day. I mean, I would not pick the Giants, but those are games they lose. I would pick them as the best team in the NFC. I would. Now, then you go maybe to Buffalo or Miami.
Yeah.
And then, okay, who's next? Is it Minnesota? I don't know. I mean,
I think that's what Jason's saying. You've got 3 or 4 that you can identify. Then after that, it's
really bad.
They're not good. They're not.
Maybe a sleeper team. Oh, and then another division leader. Seattle? Are you kidding? No. I mean, they're playing. You got to give them credit. Crazy.
But they're not great.
The sleeper team might be the 49ers. They
are.
Come on. But they don't have a Super Bowl quarterback. He's okay.
Yeah. He's
not terrible. Same with Tennessee. Tannehill's okay. Maybe that's what it is. We got Mahomes. Come on, Prescott, you kidding? He's not in that level. He's just not.
No.
You got Tua hadn't proved it yet. Lamar's one-dimensional. Tannehill. Allen is probably the next best.
I mean, Allen, if he's healthy, definitely is dangerous. Again, I'm questioning how healthy he is, though.
The Giants don't have a stud. You can't go with Heineke if you get too deep. You got Hurts he hasn't proven he can take a team through it yet. Mm-hmm. He's playing fantastic, but you got Joe Burrow. There's another team that could get on a roll.
Yeah, they played horrific in the first part of the season. They're better now for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with Mike a lot with his comments. I can't get there. He says he likes Baltimore's upside.
Can't do it either, Mike.
You can have them.
I agree with you as far as their talent.
Yes.
I don't know if they beat Cincinnati to win that division, to be honest.
They might. They might not. I'll say the same thing I say about Baltimore. I'll say the same thing I said about the Chargers and the Chiefs that I'll say about Baltimore. I've seen this movie too much, man. They just God, they can't get out of their own way. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. I can't explain it. They should be better than what they are, but man, these last few years, they have just been a puzzle.
When you look at their schedule, though, listen to this.
Oh, I'm sure it's bad.
No, it's easy.
Yeah.
At Jacksonville.
Do you trust them to beat them? I don't.
I don't trust them, but I'm saying they should.
They should.
Denver at home.
Well, they're going to have to literally fall over to lose that.
They got the Steelers twice.
They're horrible.
At Pittsburgh, and then they go there. They got to go to Cleveland.
They're horrible.
Atlanta.
I mean,
at home.
You haven't said a game that they shouldn't win.
No, they finish up at Cincinnati. And okay, now let's look at the Bengals that are one game behind them.
Yeah.
Because their schedule's tougher because they got the first place schedule in the division, and the Ravens were way down in that division.
Yep.
At Tennessee this week. That is a tough game.
Total toss-up game. Yep.
Kansas City.
And a loss.
They have Cleveland at home. They go to Tampa. You can't say that's a win.
Toss-up. Yep.
They go to New England.
Toss-up.
They got Buffalo.
No, they're not. They're not making a run.
That division. Baltimore's going to win that division
easily. They're going to win it by 3 games.
Have to totally implode not to win that division.
And they absolutely could, but they shouldn't. They should be.
When I look at that schedule, the Bengals are in trouble if they don't get to plan a little better.
Wild card's about the best they could hope for.
That is a tough schedule. That's where losing a couple of those games early that they should have won might come back to bite them. But they're pretty good. And they know how to win. They got a great quarterback. So they'll win some of those games. You don't think they will.
All true. All very true. So we'll see what happens. That's going to be a fun schedule.
The NFL is going to be fun down the stretch.
Yep. No doubt.
Yep.
All right. That's it. Do you have anything for us tonight to close off the show?
Well, I have a lot of Thanksgiving questions.
Okay. I'm ready. We can do it. It is Thanksgiving week, so let's do it.
Well, should I save them for Wednesday? I guess I'll come up with a whole new set of questions for Wednesday.
How many questions do you have?
They're quick fires.
How many do you have, though?
Well, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I could save some of them.
So do 3 this week.
Okay, and I got
3 tonight and 3 on Wednesday.
Okay, and I got another one I could do tonight too. So I got 4.
Because the Blues face off here pretty quick. So I'm not in the mood to stay for too long.
I got you. All right. So that's what we'll do.
Okay.
All right. I'll do the non-Thanksgiving one first.
Okay.
We kind of touched on this the other night, but I don't think we ever really ask it. A stadium or an arena you want to get to. You want to go.
Ooh.
Someplace you said you threw out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
The other night.
That's right. We talked about this about the coolest places we've been.
A venue that you'd love to go to.
I've got a few. Madison Square Garden would definitely be one. Wrigley Field would definitely be another one. Yeah, I mean, I think those are the big 2. I'd really like to go to Royal Ascot over in overseas. I'd love to go. That's a racetrack. I'd love to go there. Those would be the big 3.
Okay. I would like to go to Lincoln, Nebraska.
That's fair.
I wanted to go to a game there.
Yeah.
I would like to go to the Rose Bowl.
I have been to the Rose Bowl when they weren't playing. I would love to go when the game is actually there. That'd be amazing.
An historic place.
Yep.
To go. You have been to Jerry's World.
It's awesome. Blue score already. How did that happen? 11 seconds in. All right, go ahead.
Okay, and I really do like. I would like to go there. I think that they say that is an awesome.
It's awesome.
Awesome place.
Yep, it's cool.
I'm trying to think. I don't know whether there's anywhere else I can think of just off the top of my head. Wrigley Field, of course.
Ooh, Lambeau would be good. Jason brought up Lambeau. That'd be fun.
I've been to Lambeau, but not to a game.
Yeah.
That is a cool place. That city is so small to have. That's just Green Bay's a neat place.
Jerry's World is cool. It's not like the greatest thing you'll ever see, but it's cool. And Jason, go to Del Mar. You'll like it. You know that though.
No, I'm sure he does.
How about Bristol? I'm not a NASCAR guy, but Bristol would be cool.
Okay. I would like to go to the Daytona 500.
Daytona 500 would be cool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of thing.
Augusta.
Yeah.
If I could go, I think Augusta, definitely the golf. Or Pebble Beach.
Yeah, either one. Yep.
Oh, I love Pebble Beach. I might even want to go there more than I would Augusta.
Oh, I'll throw out one we talked about on the Daily Show, going to a hockey game in Canada. It's not really a building per se, but to go to Calgary or Edmonton or Montreal would be really cool.
That would be really, really neat. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. At Thanksgiving, there's usually 2 different tables. There's one with the kids, one with the grown-ups.
Yep.
I think I know your answer.
Mm-hmm.
Which one would you rather sit at?
Kids, easy.
Me too.
Yeah.
What you say adults?
No, I don't know.
I think I get along with kids better than I do adults.
I don't. Here's the deal. Most adults don't have anything in common with me. So, kids.
Hold on a minute. She's asking me a question. What? What? Yeah, throw that away. No, I use it for a rag. Okay.
Are you on the show?
Yes.
Well, you shouldn't be answering.
Well, you shouldn't have come in here. All right. Anyway, kids for me too. I get along with kids very, very well.
Kids all day for Jason as well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I don't. You know, and I shouldn't say that because the relatives that are at our Thanksgiving, you know, we do have a lot in common. But let's say,
well, there's some places you go where you are the odd man out.
Correct. And that is me most of the time.
Me too.
I live in Missouri and my 2 favorite things are horses and hockey. Do you know how many people have that in common with me? Like maybe 5. So
yeah. Anywhere I go, they start talking about cows and farming. I'm out. I don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, the other night we rode that birthday party for Mason and I was with the boys.
Right.
With the boys, I just let of course, that's what I did for a living too. So,
yeah.
Anyway, all right. Now, this is kind of not Thanksgiving, but sort of. Christmas tree up before or after Thanksgiving?
Before.
Before?
Before. Yep.
Really?
Yep. The tree is up right now at our house. Yeah.
But you mean the cat is accepting it now?
Okay, so the cat, we put it up last week. The cat hated it, scared, really scared, really terrified, like wouldn't come out of the downstairs even. And yes, she has accepted it. She was scared for a full day. We had to carry her. We had to hold her up to it, let her sniff it. She's good now. She's still, every once in a while she'll see it and run away, but overall she's doing well. So there will be a tree at our house. The cat has gotten used to it.
The tree's already up at our house, and I always like to put it up too. But for those of you that are still in the chat, I've never seen a cat scared of a tree.
Very scared. Very scared.
And this cat also loves water.
Loves water. Yes.
Yeah.
My wife bought a beautiful tree and bought beautiful decorations. We really should leave the tree up all year.
I agree totally.
It is a pretty tree, and she does a really good job decorating it. So yeah, I want it up as long as possible. Now that the cat's okay with it.
Yeah, we're the same way. We got a beautiful tree.
Yeah,
and we enjoy it. I put it up last Friday.
Okay, that's pretty early.
We've been doing that though, you know. Yeah. Because we enjoy Christmas too. All right. Let's see. Who will be the funniest person at the table on Thanksgiving Day? The funniest.
I don't know. I don't know.
I guess we're telling the folks we don't have much of a festive Thanksgiving. There's not a lot of clowns at our
no.
My brother's eating too fast, so he can't talk, and
he's funny. He's funny though,
in his own way.
Yeah. Heather really likes to make him laugh. She says, "I'm really good at making him laugh." So
yeah.
Heather is funny when we're watching sports because she doesn't care, and our family really cares, and she doesn't. So
true,
she can be funny. I don't know. I really don't know who the funniest is.
Well, Sandy said me. She
Yeah.
didn't even hesitate, but you wouldn't think it's me.
No, exactly. You're my dad, so I don't think it's funny.
She didn't even hesitate. She said, "You. Who else could it possibly be?"
That's people that watch this show probably knew the answer to that question.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, all right. Last one.
Okay.
Let's see here. Which thinks no, that one's too. I'm not doing that one. Is there anything that you miss the most from your childhood Thanksgivings? And that can be people, anything.
Anything I miss the most from my childhood Thanksgivings? What? I don't know what's changed.
Well, you don't know what's changed. Well, first of all, you're not a kid anymore.
Yeah, but I still.
Andy had her grandmother's chocolate pie.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. There's people that have passed away.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Well, yeah. Listen, I miss. I people have passed away. Sure. I mean,
I know.
You don't just.
I'm trying to think if I don't say someone that's not around anymore.
Well, like my grandma and her noodles. Sure. Pappy, what weird shirt is he gonna wear? That is where did you get that? So yeah, I mean that for sure.
I would mention him, no question.
Yeah.
Your granddad always loved Thanksgiving, So I'm trying to think if there's any kind of I always liked, and we don't do this as much anymore, that a tradition or something. It was always in our house. We watched the Christmas parades, the Thanksgiving parades.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big deal back in the day. It's not anymore.
Yeah. No.
Macy's Day Parade and all that. There was always 3 or 4 of them on TV. And then the other thing that's changed, the Lions used to play football and it used to snow and it was outside.
Yeah.
And that was so cool to watch that game. It was always cold and snowy in Detroit. And now they play inside. So
yeah,
I miss that.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Thanksgiving, but I don't love it.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I don't hate it. I mean, it's fun, but
I think I liked it better when I was a kid than I do now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
I don't dislike it, obviously, but I don't. Not one of my.
Here's a good one that's sports related. Dennis brings up. What do you like the most? NFL on Thanksgiving or the NBA on Christmas Day?
Well, that's pretty easy for me because I'm not a big NBA fan.
Yeah.
So now, if I was by myself at Christmas, I might change my mind. But I don't watch the NBA much on Christmas, so I'd have to go to the NFL on Thanksgiving.
I'll tell you a holiday tradition. NFL for me too, Dennis. To answer the question, NFL for sure. The Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve. Now that is my tradition. I watch the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve every year. I love it. Absolutely love it. No matter where I'm at, I watch the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve.
Oh boy.
And Jason, I want hockey on Christmas too. I don't know why we don't do that.
They have that day off, I think. They
do. Yes, no hockey on Christmas.
Yeah. Now the Winter Classic is pretty cool.
Yeah, Winter Classic. That's on New Year's Day. It's very cool.
Dennis likes
Dennis, the Hawaii Bowl. I love it. I always have a drink or two and watch the Hawaii Bowl on Christmas Eve. I love it. They didn't. Was it last year it got canceled or a year before? It was worst Christmas ever.
I believe it's been canceled the last 2 years, maybe.
Has it?
I know it was last year.
Yeah, maybe it was. Anyway, I think it'll be back this year. I'm excited.
Yeah, I think we're going to be there this year. But
yeah.
So anyway, I'll have some more on Thursday.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, they've never had the Winter Classic in Montreal, and that is kind of confusing.
Have they had it in Toronto?
I think. I'm pretty sure they have. Sylvain, you can correct me, but I think Toronto's had it.
Why would you not have it in Montreal?
I don't know. I don't know. That's weird. That is really
Surely
weird.
they have a place. Maybe do they have a stadium outside? Well, yeah, the football team plays up there.
Yeah. The Winter Classic's always awesome. The one in Busch Stadium was cool. The first one was cool.
Oh, that was awesome.
The one in the Cotton Bowl was awesome for me because we've been to the Cotton Bowl so many times.
That's pretty
And to think
neat.
of a hockey game in the Cotton Bowl is nuts.
Didn't they have one in LA once?
Seems like they did.
I think they did.
I think they did.
How about a Winter Classic in Los Angeles, California? That's unbelievable.
I don't know that they did now that I think about
And I
it.
thought they did, and I was thinking, how in the world can you get the ice to?
I think LA played in one, but I don't think it was in LA.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. They've done so many now. I can't remember.
Yeah. Have they had one in Chicago?
Yes. Yeah. Chicago's had one for sure.
Yeah.
I think.
The first one was in Buffalo, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was where the goalie, Ryan Miller, had the sock cap on over his helmet. Do you remember that?
That was cool.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah, those games are fantastic. Was the one in, where was it they had where, it wasn't in St. Louis, where Darren Pang was the color guy.
Minnesota.
And he was freezing to death up there that day.
Yeah, the Blues in Minnesota played in one, and the Blues beat them.
And he liked to froze to death up there.
Yeah, they also played one. Oh gosh, I've forgotten now. What I was gonna say. Nah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the one they played on. I think it was it? They played right next to a lake. I can't remember where it was. Literally, it was outdoor. This may not have been like the outdoor Winter Classic, but it was like an outdoor game right next to the lake. It was crazy. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Oh, they should have one in Lake Placid. I totally agree. That
Why
would be
don't they?
amazing.
Oh God, yes.
I would go.
Couldn't seat enough.
Oh, well, no, they couldn't, but you'd have to do something. But yeah, I mean, that would be cool. It'd be very cool.
Maybe the lake up there would be frozen. They could have it on the lake.
It would probably be frozen. So I don't know if you would want to play hockey on it, though.
No.
All right. That's it.
A little too risky.
We can talk about hockey all night.
No.
Blues lead 1-0.
All right.
Blues,
I'm going to watch it.
The Blues going for 7 in a row tonight.
After losing 8 in a row.
Look at this guy. He's got his blues shirt on. Come on.
I did.
You said trade everybody. Come on.
I did. I'm a fan. It's short for
7
fanatic.
in a row. I got a question for you to end it.
All right.
What did you think of the new Blues jersey? They're wearing them tonight too.
Okay, I saw them, a picture of them. I thought they were hideous.
Yep.
When I saw them, I thought they were beautiful.
Loved them. Thank God you said that.
Yeah.
When they came out on that ice, because I was at the game. We went to the game for my birthday, and I was like, oh. I saw them hanging up in the stores. I'm like, I don't know. See them on that ice. Oh man,
They look good on. They look good on the players. When I saw
nice.
a picture of them, I think Magic had a picture of them. Maybe.
Uh-huh.
I thought, oh gosh, what is this? But they look pretty good on the ice, no doubt.
Well, I bought one, so you can see them live and in person.
All right, good.
On Thursday.
I like that baby blue one of theirs too.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it's like the best jersey they've ever had, but for like a jersey they just wear randomly. I
thought they looked really good on.
Now, of course, if they would have lost, maybe I don't think that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna get off here, guys. We'll be back Wednesday. We'll do a show Wednesday. Be a lot of fun.
Have to be in the afternoon.
Yes. Yeah. Wednesday afternoon. Yes.
Okay.
Why? You got something going on Wednesday night?
I'm probably going to go to Missouri Southern to the basketball game.
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Well, yes. Wednesday afternoon, we will be back. We'll do another show.
I may not. I don't know.
We'll do all the picks. Well, that's got to be afternoon anyway. We'll do all the picks. It'll be fun. All right, guys. We'll see you Wednesday. Good luck, everybody betting tonight. Hope you guys have a good time.
This is Dude to Bet Sports. Dude to Bet Sports, it's your favorite show. Dude to Bet Sports, where degenerates go. Dude to Bet Sports, time to change your approach with Aaron Holzman and his father, the coach. Let's ride.
Well, the Associated Press is full of